This brick wall was once part of one of London's most notorious prisons. All that's left of Marshalsea prison today is this brick wall in a small garden in Southwark. The garden was once the churchyard and burial ground of St. George the Martyr. The church is known as Little Dorrit's Church because Dickens' character Little Dorrit is christened here, gets married here, and has to spend the night here on one occasion. That's because the place where she lives is the Marshalsea prison, where her father has been jailed for debt, and she has no choice but to live there with him, but it's been locked for the night, so she has to go to the church to sleep. The Marshalsea stood here from 1373 until 1842. It was best known as a prison for debtors, who were held here in notoriously overcrowded conditions. A parliamentary report into the Marshalsea in 1729 found that 300 people died here in a 3-month period. Between 8 and 10 people were dying every 24 hours in hotter conditions. Rooms of just 16 square feet had between 30 and 50 people crammed into them. By the 19th century, conditions were only slightly better, with 300 people crowded into just 9 rooms. In those days, inmates had to pay to be in prison. They had to pay their board and lodging. If you had no money, were in jail for debt, this only added to your debt. If you had money, you could actually live quite comfortably, have a decent meal, have wine, go to a restaurant, even be allowed out of the prison and back again for times during the day. In the 18th century and into the 19th century, 10,000 people every year went to jail because of debt. 50% of all the inmates in English prisons were debtors, until 1869, when debtors' prison was ended by Act of Parliament. Dickens had personal experience of the Marshalsea. His father John, his mother and 4 younger siblings all spent time here after John was committed here for a £10 debt. Dickens himself was sent to work in a blacking factory, lodging on his own as a 12-year-old boy. This wall ran along the southern edge of the Marshalsea prison, dividing it from Churchyard of St. George. Part of the site of the prison today is occupied by the John Harvard Library, protected by some of the most vicious razor wire I've ever seen. Told that a thief had climbed up inside the library at night and stolen electricity by connecting a cable to the power supply up there. So that's why they put this razor wire here, to stop anybody from doing it again. But it seems appropriate somehow on a former prison site. The Marshalsea closed in 1842 and much of it was demolished, although some buildings remained in place later that century and were let out as shops, as this photograph shows. Dickens wrote Little Dorrit in 1857, but he came back to have a look at what was left of it, possibly seeking inspiration standing somewhere close to where I am now.